Welcome to Spotlight on Lakewood. I'm Mayor Adam Paul, and today we're going to continue our conversation on the many different aspects of what makes a healthy community. Today we're going to focus on the economic health of a community, and I'm honored to have economist Patty Silverstein here to talk to us a little bit today about what that looks like and what the many different aspects are. So welcome. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to see you. I've heard you speak at many different functions, and you have a great kind of, I think, grasp of what's going on, not only nationally, but a nice focus on local here in the Denver metro area, of course, Lakewood being part of that.
Absolutely.
So would you share with our viewers some aspects of a healthy community?
Well, when we track the economic activity in a region, there are four main indicators that we look at. One being what's going on with business growth, what's going on with employment within the area. Second would be what's going on with consumer activity. Are our consumers getting out there spending money? Third, the residential real estate market. We need to make sure that we have the housing for all of our people. And fourth, the commercial real estate market. But I would also add kind of a fifth component over that, and that's our government sector. In order to have a healthy economy, our government sector also has to be providing for the safety, the attraction of the area.
Sure, so they're all interconnected together.
They are very much interconnected. I mean, if you know, in many economic structures, if you have just positive activity in one of those sectors, but not the others, that's not a healthy economy. That's not a healthy community.
So here's the million-dollar question for you. How are we doing? Are we really firing on all cylinders with these five areas?
So right about now, the answer is yes. We really are doing pretty well in all of those various indicators. So if we talk about business growth, employment growth, we have seen 3 years of very strong employment growth throughout the Denver metro area. 2013, 2014, 2015, 3% growth or better. Our expectation in 2016 is that we're still going to be continuing to grow and expand, maybe not quite as quickly as we had been over the past few years. And more looking at 2017 as a little bit of a further slowdown in the activity. Maybe not, you know, going negative or anything, right, but certainly a slowdown in activity in this region.
Yeah, it certainly seems like we've really hit our stride and things kind of blew up fast. And we're seeing those five areas, especially residential growth and business growth. We're really seeing those expand. And it's interesting to see what that looks like in 5 or 10 years. Sure. And I know I asked you to bring your crystal ball today and you didn't. But where do you see the forecast potentially? And we're not going to hold you to this, but I think it'd be interesting because some of the issues that we're dealing with in Lakewood are growth and kind of these growing pains that go along with that, with congestion and some density, new apartments coming in.
Sure, sure. Well, let's take a look at what's going on with business growth, first of all, the employment growth side. You know, it's so important that we have a diverse economic base. And by diversity, I'm talking about a diversity of industries, as well as a diversity of occupations within the community, because any community has people of all different skill levels and all different needs, desires there. The diversity of the industry is so important. We've experienced that very closely right about now. With the oil and gas price downturn, we've seen many of our companies that have downsized their operations, and it's because of the strength of our other aspects of the economy, or the other aspects of industry growth in the region, that we've been able to weather that storm. I mean, that's really a lot of the big reason for the slower growth in 2016 and into 2017. Although my crystal ball gets a little bit hazy here as to what's going on with those gas prices, but indications are that they are headed back up, which bodes well for our industries here in Colorado.
I think it's fair to say you can kind of blame the politicians for the uncertainty, right? That's creating, people are kind of waiting to see what might happen in November, and there's some uncertainty either way. So I think that, or do you think that we're seeing a little hesitation or?
Absolutely. You know, and during any election year, you do have businesses that are kind of saying, you know, I'm just going to wait and see how all of this shakes out. So certainly I think that businesses pull back a little bit, so they become not quite as aggressive as they have been over the past few years. And that leads then to our whole second aspect of the economy, which is our consumers. So as the consumers feel like, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty out here, that influences their spending patterns. And consumer activity, you know, when we take a look at the national income accounts, consumer activity represents, you know, 2/3 to 70% of our economic activity. So if our consumers are hesitant, if they're starting to pull back in their activity, that has tremendous influence on our overall economic behavior.
And that trickle down to the local government is enormous because we are sales tax dependent.
Absolutely.
So when those dollars, when people become more conservative, or there's not that disposable income or that level of income to spend, then the city starts to see those reserves go down as well. So it's amazing how we're all intertwined, and what does happen throughout the country and world really can affect the local.
Absolutely. You know, and that's why for our cities here in Colorado that are very sales tax dependent, it becomes important to make sure that you're offering the right retail mix, that you're encouraging your residents to spend their dollars within the local community, that you're encouraging visitors to come in and spend their dollars as well, because that revenue, then that sales tax revenue, becomes so important to make sure that you're providing a safe an attractive environment then.
Certainly. And that was going to be my next question. You know, what can we do as a community to, you know, stay focused and develop a, you know, healthy economic base? And I think you just answered that, and that is having a diversity, having small businesses, unique businesses, large businesses, kind of the whole gamut.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You know, I think one of the greatest things that a local government can do to foster business growth is really to be there supporting that small business foundation. You know, our hope is that, you know, people are taking that entrepreneurial spirit, that innovation, and starting those new businesses. And sometimes it's going to be that 1-2 person shop in somebody's garage, but you're hoping that they can, you know, with some assistance and some care, really start to expand and become a major employer within your community.
So the city of Lakewood, we have the majority of our businesses are small, probably under 5 people. Is that reminiscent, is that a representative of a lot of areas of the metro area as a whole?
It is. All throughout the state of Colorado, you know, it's definitely the dominant force in our state economy are small businesses. You know, when you take a look at the percentage of small businesses, it's something like, you know, 98% of the businesses have under 500 employees, which would be the SBA definition of small business. But I think, you know, really it's more about those businesses that are operating that are under the 50 employees or so is a huge percentage of our business base here too. And those are the ones too that tend to need more of that startup assistance and business training. Oftentimes you'll have somebody that great entrepreneur that has this fabulous idea but they are not quite sure how to bring that to market. Sure. So all of those small business assistance programs are really crucial.
That's fantastic, and we're lucky we have that. We have a council now that's looking at different things as well. We have a housing study underway and a retail study to get a better understanding of what we have, what we don't have, what we need, and give us better tools to attract, so we can maybe make sure that we are meshing right on all 5 of those aspects.
Right.
And you talk about, you know, these small businesses. One in Lakewood is our largest private sector employer, Terumo BCT, started years ago in a garage with 2 people. And so you're right, with that guidance and assistance and, you know, really encouraging people to do that, it can really parlay into great things. And primary jobs, there's a multiplier on those, right?
Absolutely. So when we talk about primary jobs, we're talking about those jobs or those companies that are primarily selling their goods or services outside of your region. So you have those dollars flowing in. It's the whole wealth creation, which is the goal of economic development. So those primary jobs, those as their customers may be across the country, across the globe, those dollars flow in. and the employees are able, take those dollars and start spending them. This whole supply chain that is related to those companies too, all fostered, all achieved through those multiplier effects of those primary dollars.
Yep, and I think the metro area learned a good lesson in the early 80s when they weren't diversified and they saw a fallout of oil and gas, and since then we've really tried to focus on this diversification, and it's really paid off.
Absolutely. I think that, when we do take a look at all of our employment base throughout the metro region and all, it is a very diversified economic base, and that's something that our economic development community is constantly looking at, is how can we foster the retention of our existing businesses first and foremost, and help them expand, as well as attracting the new businesses into the region.
So, and you're real in tune with the region. Would you say we work well together as a region? And that's important, right, to do that when you're looking for economic development?
Very important. I mean, there are so many parts of the country where it is a lot of fighting amongst the different cities. And truly that has been one of the keys to the Metro Denver area success, I believe. I mean, we have regional cooperation on so many different levels, whether it be economic development, whether it be transportation planning, whether it be all of our mayors through the Metro Mayors Caucus that, are really working together to solve some of the tough problems that arise in any big metropolitan area.
Well, this has been a great opportunity, and I could have conversation with you all day. I really appreciate what you have to say and your perspective and your knowledge. Is there anything else that you'd like to share or talk about?
When we talk about the different facets of the economy, we talked about how most all of our facets of the economy are hitting on all cylinders right now. It's really been all systems go. I think one of the greatest challenges of our region right now is more on that housing side. We have seen individuals that are just simply priced out of the market. Our ownership units have gotten very expensive here. We are the most expensive housing market without an ocean. And you have to go to the East Coast or the West Coast to really find home prices that are going to be higher here than in Metro Denver. And also our rental market has gotten very expensive. We have seen double-digit increases in those apartment rental rates for the last several quarters. So that is challenging. And we're starting to see some help out there in that marketplace as we have brought more apartment units online, as we've brought more single family online. But I think it's, and when we talk about a healthy community, we need to recognize that it can be very challenging from the living expense side for many of our households out there right now.
Sure, because at some point, if you can't afford to live here or there's nothing here, people are going to quit, and that's going to kind of be a domino effect.
Absolutely, and companies are looking at that too. As our companies are looking at expansion plans or relocation plans or whatever, they want to make sure that they can attract the quality labor that they need to bring their good service to the market. So if some companies are concerned about, can my employees afford to live here, they may think twice about their expansion plans. So this is an issue that we definitely need to get a good grasp on here.
Thank you very much for mentioning that, because again, on the local level, we're seeing that, and people are enjoying the appreciation they've seen in their homes.
Absolutely.
Right, but if some of our folks want to step down or move out of that single family house where we don't have all that stock that's available, and we want to keep those folks in our community, and we want to keep folks who want to move to Lakewood, we want to make sure that they have a variety. So it's very important and a critical component of that in our city as we see it today.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for coming out and for sharing with our viewers. I think probably some folks are familiar with you, and if not, they'll become more familiar. You do great work, and enjoy your day.
It was a delightful conversation, Mayor.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Spotlight on Lakewood. I hope you enjoyed our journey today down the economic road of health in our community. I look forward to future conversations, and remember, together we'll do great things.